Well, I don't speak French, so I'm not exactly sure if if I'm going to be saying a lot of what Sylvie said. But I'm Jeff Morrissey, structural engineer with Arup, based out of New York City. Along with Eric and I, we were initially scheduled to present on a very exciting and innovative modular project in New York and discuss its implications on construction sites and their appearance during the temporary stage. But as I think Sherry mentioned earlier, being in the US, we live in a very litigious society, and the project is currently mired in litigation, and as a result, we've been asked not to present on it. But Eric, lucky Eric, he has graciously undertaken the last-minute call to present a new presentation, and I just want to quickly introduce Eric. We've worked together for several years on this unnamed project, as well as some other modular projects. He's a project manager with Shop Construction in New York City. He specializes in virtual design and construction with an emphasis on projects involving prefabrication, modular, or alternative means of construction. And with Shop, he's worked on the Barclay Center, the Domino Sugar redevelopment, both in Brooklyn, as well as projects in Africa and India. So today, Eric will be presenting on how technological, operational, and organizational advancements will affect how information is transferred between design and construction and its potential implications for construction sites. So, Eric.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Okay, so today we've heard a lot about the construction fence, and I'm actually going to talk about what's going on inside the fence and what innovations are happening inside of it that ultimately will affect the fence itself. So when I was asked to reflect on what are some of the macro forces that are driving change inside that fence within design and construction, the three words that came to mind were right from Thomas Friedman's hot, flat, and crowded. We have a global warming crisis. The fourth largest producer of carbon emissions is cement manufacturing. The world is extremely flat. This is a picture of a CNC fabrication tool that mills, cuts, drills steel and aluminum. This is now a ubiquitous tool around the world that is relatively inexpensive, that allows for high precision and high quality fabrication to take place. And it's crowded, as we all know. And in 2008, we reached a watershed moment where more than 50% of the world's population is now living in cities, compared to 100 years ago where it was 10%, and by 2025 it will be 60%. So we're going to be dealing with very complex logistical urban sites. This is a map of the shipping routes and frequencies around the world. We are hyper-connected through material processes around the world, but shipping is slow, expensive, and has a lot of emissions associated with it. At the same time, if we look at a map of our undersea cables that connect us via the World Wide Web, we're hyper-connected in this way too, and there's almost no cost associated with shipping a piece of information from New York to India. So what does that allow us to do with those opportunities? It almost requires us, or begs us, to do more with less. How can we use information intelligently to prefabricate, to plan for doing unique installations, unique construction methodologies by tightly planning what we actually are shipping and tightly orchestrating what we are designing. This is a couple of images from a project we did in New York, where we looked at how we could come up with a 21st century application for traditional brick by using 3D modeling software to mill out forms, and then this is nothing but brick on a cement backup wall. and hopefully providing a visual interest, a new way of looking at traditional materials through this use of prefabrication. I'm going to touch briefly on the Barclay Center here in Brooklyn. Again, using this idea that moving information is inexpensive, moving prefabricated materials is expensive. This is an image of the CNC water jet in Indianapolis where panels were fabricated. This computer was programmed in our offices in Manhattan, and the information for every cut file was sent to Indianapolis. There were 12,000 unique panels on this project. Each one needed a different CNC cut file to cut it and then bend it. And this is an image on the right of the panels being weathered in Indianapolis. The panels were then unitized to the enclosure system. And in this creation of 930 mega panels, we reached a really efficient unitization between enclosure and cladding and also shipment. And these were shipped to the site in Brooklyn and erected as you see there. And coming up with a very unique visual interest moment. So as Jeffrey introduced, there's a couple of drivers that are inherent to this system. Technology development, orchestrating information across multiple design teams from the building information model to the instructions that the worker on the site actually uses, and how all that information is orchestrated is going through rapid technological development right now and is certainly impacting the way that we design and construct. At the same time that we're trying to coordinate massive amounts of information and plan it, we are also needing to coordinate material, the physical reality of what we're building. And if you are able to coordinate material, people, and information at the right time, you have a successful building project. If not, you have a lot of chaos and extended delays on your construction site. And what we're really talking about is building a very complex database of information that allows us to plan and coordinate this orchestra. And we've been working with technology companies to help innovate what this database is. This is an example of linking all different parts of the model to that information. But you can't have just technological advances without organizational advances as well. And very traditional to our industry is a hard divide between the design side and the construction side. It does not work like this integrated database that we're trying to drive to. It works as a barrier between them. So we need to take contractual issues and catch them up to the technology advances that we're making, and bring people together in the same way that we're trying to bring materials and information together. One of our office's favorite examples of this is Skunk Works from Lockheed Martin, which was, we're going to put a cross-disciplinary team in a warehouse for 8 months, and they're going to redesign the jet engine. And if we can take lessons like that of putting people together in a room, and that was in the 50s, certainly we can do that today. And we're trying to, and I think this is putting cross-disciplinary teams in connected environments that link people around the world, but there's no replacement for getting people together in the same spot. This is an iRoom that we set up on a project to connect people together, and this is actually, to this conference, this is affecting where that perimeter of the site is, who goes in and out, what information goes in and out, and how that site interacts as part of not just a construction site, but a office. Which leads us to operational changes about how we are producing. our construction sites, I think you're going to see more and more prefabrication based on these macroeconomic forces, and also the technology development and the organizational changes. You're going to see more and more prefabrication. I mean, this is MEP pipe racks, which is very boring, but is radically changing what materials are delivered to our sites, and what the perimeter, if you will, of a construction site is. So I think one of the advents that you're going to see more and more is what we're referring to as pop-up assembly sites, where you have on the periphery of major cities, you have light manufacturing that brings these worldwide shipping points together. It acts as the hub of the information of the materials, and it prefabricates and organizes the materials before they're shipped to the site for erection. And through this, I think you're going to see what's inside the site continue to change. Larger pieces are going to be delivered, but more sequenced, and the construction site will become more of an assembly center than a construction site. So with that, thank you very much.